Well, you can experience the history of bourbon when you join a Whiskey Row walking tour right here in downtown Louisville. Great Father's Day gift idea, by the way, too. The tour offers you a chance to learn everything about history, distilling, craftsmanship behind Kentucky's world-famous bourbon whiskey. Joining me now with more is Drew Schrock to take us on our little private tour here. And I guess that you get to do a little drinking, too, while you're on the tour, maybe?
And I don't,
not you,
not
definitely
tour, but
not
yes,
you.
yes.
But afterwards, you can stay and sample and everything. Right. I think, Drew, this is just such a great idea. You just recently started this business yourself,
Yes.
because I think whether you're a tourist in your own city or you visit a city, we're overwhelmed by all the different places you can visit. I mean, kind of take us along for what the tour is like.
The tour starts out, it's called the Whiskey Row Walking Tour, and it's the history of whiskey distilling here in Louisville, plus also some of the well-known distillers of that time, like Julian Pappy Van Winkle, Evan Williams, George Garvin Brown, just to mention a few. And we'll start, but also includes sampling at 3 different distilleries as well. So we'll go to Barrels and Billets, and then Buzzard's Roost that just opened up the last week of April. They're in the 600 block of West Main Street. We go sample their bourbon, and we sample at Evan Williams. But we'll start at the Fraser History Museum at 8th and Main, and I'll talk about the history of bourbon, point out some of the buildings that people didn't know some of these well-known distillers occupied, and then we'll stop.
And they don't anymore. And when you see them now, you're like, what? Where? That was right here downtown?
Yeah. Well, the George Garvin Brown, where Old Forester is now, that's where his original business started out of back in the 1890s.
They're celebrating a big anniversary now.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Oh, wow. And so tell me about like the people that usually will visit you on this tour. Are you seeing a lot of visitors from out of town, or do you just have like locals that just kind of want to get out and explore and learn more about it?
The visitors that I have, majority of them from out of town. I did have a local group who was interested. It was a bunch of friends who got together, and they decided that they wanted to do a bourbon tour. So they were all from Louisville, but the majority of my guests are from out of town, and it's amazing how much bourbon is changing the city as far as from a tourism perspective. We are gaining and getting a lot of attention here in Louisville because of bourbon. And I start at the official bourbon trail, the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Trailhead, if they want to call it that, is what it's called. That's where we'll start at the Fraser, where it's located inside the Fraser.
And then go from there. Do you have certain days that you do this and certain hours?
My tours are Thursday through Saturday at 11 a.m. and then Sunday at 1 o'clock. And the tour is 2 hours long.
Very nice. And then what is it like on the tour? Is there an opportunity to like ask questions and stop and leisurely, like take us inside?
Yes, I love for people to ask questions, because when they're asking questions, they're really engaging the tour. So the tour, again, is the history of distilling, so they might ask about certain distillers. A lot of them, they want to sample the different bourbon products that are on the tour as well. And they just enjoy learning history overall about how bourbon got its start, why Kentucky makes 95%.
Why here?
Yeah.
Like what's in the water here? Well, a lot.
Yes.
A lot that makes bourbon so great. Yeah.
But I talk about that. I talk about the history of Kentucky in the sense that it's our limestone water, but also people are amazed when I tell them that Kentucky has more navigable waterways running through it than any other state in the Union besides Alaska. So back in the 1800s, when the riverboats were popular, we already had a natural interstate system built in within Kentucky for the transportation of whiskey down south to New Orleans, out west to St. Louis, or up north to Cincinnati or Pittsburgh.
So when you're telling the history and kind of the background of some of our bourbon founders, our founding fathers, if you will, is there something in there that's super funny that people are always like, you know what I mean, like that little nugget in there that you'd like to throw in to remind people just how, I don't know, how real and normal they are? Yeah.
A lot of times I'll talk about Paul Jones Jr., who was the owner of Four Roses Bourbon, and his was the very first illuminated sign in Times Square in New York City.
Really?
And he paid quite a bit of money back then in the late 1880s to have the first illuminated sign. And what's so neat about that sign is that, and I always tell on my tour, I share this with my guests, is that very famous picture of Victory in Japan Day, VJ Day, where the sailor's bending the woman over and kissing her.
Yes.
If you look at the actual picture above their heads, you'll see Four Roses Bourbon, that sign that is still there. So it's just those little neat little things.
Photographic history there, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
Are
cool.
you finding because I'm just kind of hearing this more and more, a lot more women joining these tours, like their interest in the history of it, and
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like they're just like, yeah, let's go do it, ladies. Right?
Yes. Well, it's funny because I have a lot of men love to come because they love to drink whiskey.
Right.
Women are coming because they want to learn more about bourbon and whiskey, which I think is really great.
We're learners.
Yes, they are. And what I think is fun is that a lot of them are kind of reluctant, and they'll start drinking the whiskey or the bourbon when they're doing the tastings. Like, I really like this one. This one tastes really good. And I always tease them that you've been baptized in the Kentucky bourbon
welcome.
spirit.
Drew, pleasure to meet you.
It's
Thank
very nice
you so
meeting you.
much. Best of luck. Hey, I mean, check him out if you're going to be downtown, or recommend, I think, if you have a group coming in. This is a really fun thing, or a Father's Day gift that would be just great for somebody or for guests coming in. So all you have to do is head on over to whiskeyrowwalkingtour.com for more information. Stay with us.